Okay, guys, it's Wages World, May 14th, going into the 15th now. Um, Coming at you with a video. A lot of you guys probably seen my previous video there. I completely jacked that one up. The audio on it was all jacked up. I added some stuff, and I actually left the loop on to some of the music I had going on, and it just completely overran the last part of my video. So I went ahead and yanked it down. It would have bugged me just to if somebody else had posted something like that and I tried to listen to it or get anything out of it. I knew, and you guys are very nice for not even really saying much about it. Um, Man, it was driving me nuts listening to it, and I made this stinking thing. Anyway, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and remake the video. I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit shorter anyway. It was kind of a long one, but I did have quite a bit to say. So let me go ahead and jump into this. So first and foremost, let me say that yeah, we didn't do a live stream. Scott actually fell asleep, um, and I think he was supposed to be getting woke up, and the person was supposed to wake him up didn't on accident, forgot, or was just trying to let him get some rest. Much deserved rest after everything he's been through here lately. I don't know that I would have woke him up if he was getting good sleep, because I know that that's few and far between with him and me. I'm currently fighting pain right now because of kidney stones. I spent 4 hours on the floor last night just trying to get past it. It's still there constantly. I do not take pain medication for multiple reasons. Anybody that's been around my channel, they know why. I've had kidney stones since I was 12. So, but I've never had it on the right side, and this time it's on the right side. And the pain, for people that don't know, the pain from that comes from when it's traveling from the kidney to the bladder. Once it gets to the bladder, typically it's pretty easy to pass. Now I know people freak out because of the way the anatomy that's going on down there of a rock that has spikes all over it that actually has to come out. um, so that's kind of what we're looking at, but the pain isn't really that part of it. The pain actually comes from right there in the tube. It scrapes the tube on the way to the bladder, and it causes all that pain. And I've have a history of having bigger ones that get stuck. So I've had stents in for 2 weeks at a time. And guys, you don't even go back to the doctor to pull those stents out. You pull them out yourself at home. um, that's not fun. Let me tell you, it feels like you're peeing razor blades that are on fire every time you take a leak after that happens. Anyway, too personal. Sorry. Um, but I do want to talk about this Schumann here. Okay, this is the signature that was the other day. Um, what I want to say is, 3 days in a row, this is what's showing. We had a spike start at the same time. Okay, now there's a fourth day right in a row too. I'm gonna show it to you here in a minute. The most recent capture of the Schumann here. Um, exact same thing. Okay, but what I've noticed is if you look at this one here, and you compare it to the other two, you can see it's taking pretty much the same signature shape, but it's increasing in intensity as it goes. Now, keep in mind what's going on here. There's no way that this can be a natural occurrence, at least in my opinion, because this is happening too too uh, too many times in a row, and at the exact same time for days in a row. This should not happen like this. This is something intelligently done. That's my opinion. Um, but what I would say is, with this intensity of it slowly increasing, what's causing that? So in my mind, that has to be something that maybe started far away and is now getting closer, or if it's here on Earth that's causing the change here, it's something that's increasing in intensity and they're turning it up every day, and which actually could be part of what's going on. I don't know. Now we have CERN and lots of other particle colliders here on the planet, but you know I've not seen CERN do this to it. Usually when CERN gets fired up, this thing will blast. I mean blast. Um, and let's keep in mind, like I said, there's a bunch of other particle colliders on the planet. People forget that. Um, but CERN's the most popular one, so that's what most people tend to gravitate towards. No pun intended. Anyway, I also want to talk about something here real quick before we move on. I'm seeing a lot of reverse dogma going on in the community. What do I mean by that? Well, the way I see it is when we first come into this community, or our eyes are first opened up to what we research and stuff here, something other than what the mainstream narrative is. We call that getting red pilled, right? And I've talked about that before. But what are we getting red pilled to? Well, we're getting red pilled to the base or the original dogma of things. In other words, the controlled narrative. And we pride ourselves on being able to buck that system, look past it, have an open mind. But what I'm seeing is what I call reverse dogma. What's happened is, especially the people that have been in this community for a very long time. I've been here for 3 going on 4 years. I know people that's been in, doing this thing for 10 years plus. So what's happened is they've created their own dogma, and I was doing it myself. Okay, I caught myself doing it, so I stopped. And so what was happening, just to explain, is you knew that what they were saying was so evil and wrong that you had to fight it in that way. But because of that, when you discovered what you thought the truth actually was, at that moment your mind got shut off to even people that were in the community because you thought what you were thinking was right. Now, I ain't saying you were wrong, okay? But what I am saying is that a lot of people need to reopen their mind. Okay, I had to do it myself. I kept ignoring people that were telling me different stuff or new stuff that wasn't really part of my thought process at the time, and I caught myself like blocking my mind, not letting it be there and be open enough to be able to change. And I don't want you guys to get like that because it's not a good way to get there. And I would say this too, guys, sometimes the answer isn't the most important thing. Sometimes the journey to that answer is the most important thing. Because I can tell you from personal experience, the people that I've met on my journey through all of this so far are more important to me than what's at the actual finish line. Because they're the ones that are doing it with me. They're the ones I'm going to share that truth with at the end. So those things become more important to me. And I would hope that other people feel this way. Because, really, I don't see how. What I'm saying is, I guess that I understand how the dogma can get back in. Not the old dogma, I'm talking about the new one you create around yourself. Blocking other people off and just sticking with your same narrative for years or months or whatever it is. Like I said, guys, I'm not innocent in this. I did it too for a few months. I caught myself, so I stopped. Then I started looking around the community and noticing other people are doing the same thing. So if you see yourself doing that, please stop, because you're not doing yourself any favors, and you're definitely not helping anybody else if you're doing that. So just keep an open mind, stay skeptical at the same time. Do what I call a purple pill. It's a hard line to walk. It really is. You can't go too far and you can't go not far enough. You have to find that medium point. And when you find that, you'll know it because you'll be in that sweet spot and you won't feel uncomfortable about what you're talking about. That's how you know. You don't have to be like screaming it from the rooftops, but you'll know when you think something's right. Because when that happens for you in your mind, you will absolutely not be afraid to tell somebody about it. That's how you know. Okay? At least for me. So anyway, we'll move on for that. Sorry about that little rant, but I think it needed said. Anybody that's listening that could have helped, I really hope it does. Because when I recognized it myself, when I was doing it, you could probably even go back and look at some of my videos. I haven't done that, but I bet I could go back and find out when my mind actually did that. It's pretty evident when people are doing that, because they do. They block off any new idea, no matter what it is. Now, I ain't saying we need to go crazy and jump off the cliff way over here, okay? That's not what I'm saying. You just heard me say that finding that middle line to walk on is very hard to do. But that's what we strive to do, and you'll know when you're on that line. Trust me. Okay? Anyway, we'll move on. And I'm going to take you over here and show you this fourth day here. And this is what I would say to that. This is the most recent. Okay? This is that fourth day. Guys, you can go look at it for yourself. This is exactly what happened 4 days in a row. Same type of spike, same basic signature, looking signature, same all that. Now the tire tread signature we were seeing still there also. It's not as prevalent, but it's still there. You know that wavy look we were seeing. It's not so much, as it looks like as time's going on here, that it's slowly going away again. I still don't know what that was. They shut this tool down 2 or 3 times, and that kind of leads me to think that maybe that was a tool flaw. But I can't say that for sure, because sometimes they'll shut these things off to reset them. Okay? So that is what it is. Sorry about that, guys. Whatever's going on there, I don't know what happened there. Hopefully I didn't lose you guys here. Anyway, you see where this black line is? That's missing data. Okay? But you know what's strange about this particular missing data? Is I see a little wave to it. It's kind of odd. Maybe my eyeballs are the only one. Yeah, my eyes are kind of messing up right now. Sorry about that, guys. But you can see the waviness right here as far as the tire tread type of signature. And again, guys, I've given up trying to email these guys. They never respond. Never have. But we still got our coded line too that we talk about. But as far as these spikes go, remember I showed you how it looked like it was ramping up? Now look at this other one here that started the fourth one right here. Okay? You see how that's a straight line and that's a straight line. This one's still tearing up, but look at this. This one's tearing back down. So are we going to start seeing a slow decline here to back to normal conditions or what? I don't know. But if you look at this, just like before I've shown you before, if you draw a line right in half, it's almost like a mirror image of each other, just flip-flopped 180 degrees. So that's happening again too. Now this spike over here is probably not related to this stuff I'm talking about right now. This is probably something different. Number one, it doesn't look the same. Number two, it's not hitting on the same time frames, so it wouldn't be part of what I'm talking about here if it's related at all. Okay, but look at this. I've seen pulses in this before, but this is ridiculous. Okay, there is no consistent vibrational change there at all. These are pulses. These are boom, stop, boom, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. A bunch of times, guys. Look at that. I've seen this like once before, but not to this extreme. This is pretty extreme as far as the start and stopping. So to me, that's almost like a communication thing that's going on here. Are we trying? Is somebody trying to communicate with us? I don't know. Are we trying to communicate with somebody else by doing something here on our planet? I just don't get it. But the fact of the matter is, that is a pulse. That is not a consistent frequency change. You can see it. It's pretty obvious, actually, if you look at it. But it didn't. It did it a little bit back here, but not as bad. It was doing it still, but all the way through this one, man. I mean, it didn't stop. Now, if you go over here and look, it looks like the pulsing may be continuing. Not for sure yet, but we'll watch it. And I'll be interested to see when we get down to here today if we have another spike. If that's the case, that's 5 days in a row. And each day this happens, this is adding more validity that there's no way that this is natural. The only thing I could think of that could be natural about this is for us to be in the exact same position every day, and that would be have to deal with the rotation of the Earth. And, right now, tomorrow at the exact same time, the Earth's going to be rotated exactly the same spot, right? So that could have something to do with it. Might be why we're seeing it in this increments. I don't know, but something's happening at the same time every day. So Anyway, I'm gonna take you guys over and show you some pretty cool stuff about Comet Swan and Comet Atlas. And yeah, so .com. Now, let me tell you guys, these guys, like I said before, these guys are knocking it out of the park right now. Past month or so, man. I mean, maybe I'm just now getting turned on to this channel. I've been looking at them for a while on this webpage for like months, 6 months to a year at least. But they're putting out article stuff that's very, very interesting and very, very relevant to what we're talking about. Okay, the first article here, the Great Geomagnetic Storm of 1921. Now I mentioned this yesterday, I think, in my video. Guys, go read this story. It was frying telephone lines. This is not the Carrington event that fried all the telegraph lines. This is something different. Okay, it was 99 years ago this week. The Great Geomagnetic Storm of 1921. That right there should tell you that we will experience that again. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And with us being so far, reliant on our technology, when it does happen again, guys, we got some really serious issues we're going to have to cross. Our kids won't know what to do. They've never lived a life without cell phones. This whole lockdown thing has got people looking at things different, but it hadn't affected the older people as much because there was still a time, even when we were kids or even young adults. I'm in my 40s, so anybody that's kind of around that age or 30 or above remembers when at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, everything closed. There was only one or two stores open, and usually they were filling stations and truck stops. Gas stations and truck stops. That was the choice you had. Nowadays everything's 24 hours. Heck, our local Walmarts have become like hangouts for kids. I mean, who thought somebody'd be hanging out at Walmart? But that's what they do because they're open 24 hours. And, I understand it, but it's going to be a shock if something like this was to happen and they don't have that technology and all that stuff is going on. So those of us that are older will have a little bit of an advantage because we know how to live life without all that, if we haven't forgotten. And I can tell you right now, when my phone goes away, it will affect me. I know everybody else probably feels the same. It's almost like your wallet or maybe your glasses or something like that. If you leave the house and you accidentally leave it behind, you feel naked, right? That's what I do when I leave my cell phone somewhere. I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, back to the comets. This is Comet Atlas, I think. Yep. It's now about 12 pieces, believe that or not. And it is most certainly still bright. That's what's surprising them right now. It's about 12 pieces, and it is as bright as a 9 magnitude star. Now that's not visible with the naked eye. The visibility, naked eye wise, comes between I think 5 and 6. Now with this, the lower the number, the brighter the star is, or the brighter the object is. So if it gets down, around 5, we can start seeing it with our naked eye, unaided. It might be difficult, but you can still see it. And then, obviously as it gets brighter, you can use binoculars, you could use whatever. Then eventually you won't have to use nothing because it'll be right there in your face. I seen Halley's Comet, I seen Hale-Bopp. Those things were legit. Okay. This thing here, they said since the beginning, it's so unpredictable and volatile. So for this thing to be staying this bright at a 9 is confusing them. Okay, they didn't expect that. Now, as this gets closer to the sun, it's going to interact with more and more solar wind, and who knows what's going to happen. It may cause it to glow a little bit brighter for a while, which I think probably would. Plus it's going to be getting closer to the heat of the sun, and these things are flying balls of ice, so you can imagine what's going to happen there. With it being broken up already, I look for the pieces to get sucked in by the sun. I don't think it's going to make it around to do a slingshot like Comet Swan will. At least that's what they think. And by the way, Comet Swan is now visible in the northern hemisphere, and we're able to see it on stereo A, guys, and I'm going to take you over and show it to you. But check, I mean, just go check these guys out here on this article. I mean, this is just so cool. It really is. Now, is this causing some of our issues? You know, I don't ever rule anything out, but as of right now, I just don't see this thing causing us any issue. I don't think it's going to make it back around to exit our solar system. I think our sun is going to eat it up. That's my opinion. Now, we'll have to wait and see if that happens, because these things are way unpredictable anyway. It's already done things they didn't think it was going to do, so that should tell you something. Now, again, Comet Swan, guys, we're going to go take a look at that, and I'm going to show it to you on stereo A. So, you know, this is what I would do. A location map of stereo A, Earth, and some satellites in stereo B. Now, this is over at stereo A site, and you know, I should use this more often to explain to you guys. Usually I just draw a little picture because it's quick, you know, where I show you the location of Earth and the satellite and all that. But this is the official positions and stuff of everything as of right now. This is real-time stuff right here. So the Earth is right there. Obviously, the Earth will always be there on this particular one because this is in reference to where we're at. So that's how they're going to plot this map out. Now, again, here's stereo A. Remember how I said it's off to the side? This gives you a better idea, though. Okay? Now, here's stereo B. Those two were put out there at the beginning to see, give us a view of the backside of the sun. But Scott and others, mainly Scott, was seeing a lot of stuff over here on stereo B. Like, I mean, just so convincing stuff that eventually they just cut that off. They said we lost communication with it, went into some sort of roll. Now they're saying that they got communication back, but they don't get any data. I think it's a bunch of, you know, BS lies, in my opinion. But that, again, it's just my opinion. Everybody has one, right? But again, this is stereo A over here, the red dot. Now you can look at the satellites. There's a few satellites they got plotted here. There's a Parker Space Probe right there. Okay, that's the most popular one going on right now. But then you got, you know, Mercury, Venus, our inner solar system, all the way out to Mars. So that's the location of everything right there. So I'm going to take you over here and show you the actual captures of Swan on stereo A. It's pretty interesting. Okay, guys, I got you over here at stereo A. This is HI2, one of the tools on that satellite. And what you're going to see, this is going to be hard to see a little bit, so I would suggest looking at this on a bigger screen TV, or at least your computer, not necessarily your phone. You might be able to see it on your phone, but can't guarantee it. What you're going to be looking for is right in this area, and it's you can see it right there right now, okay? But it's traveling this direction. Now, why is this significant? Well, because it's, you know, take in consideration what's happening here. We got a satellite that's millions of miles away from us, that's pointed at the sun, and it's picking up a comet. Isn't that just stinking amazing? I mean, to me, that's wow. That's why, you know, this stuff just interests me to death, man. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow this down, and we're going to, you know, actually I might run it, you know, at speed, because sometimes you can see it better that way. So I'm going to hit play. Again, guys, you know, watch in this direction, okay? It's going to be a little dot. It's going to be moving from south to north as far as down to up, okay? So I'm going to start this, and we'll zoom in a little bit. It's going to pixelize there for a second. Once it gets back to the front of the time lapse again, it's right in there. You see it moving right there? Okay, then it does that again. We'll watch this a few times, but you can see it moving. Okay, that's Comet Swan, guys. So I just thought that was neat. Thought you guys might want to see that. Now I'm going to take you guys over to a stereo A ultraviolet also, and show you some sunspots that's getting ready to come Earth facing, and I'm going to explain a couple things to you. And yeah, so this is what I would say to that. Why I don't show you guys this particular tool very often is because of the just the crappy definition you get on this thing. The pixelization's really bad, and even the pixels themselves are big squares. Okay, as you can see, it's just not very high def to be showing somebody anything of importance. But this tool is useful in the fact that this is a side view of the sun, so we can see sunspots that are getting ready to rotate through. So I'm gonna push play and let you guys watch this. It's gonna look like it's moving pretty crazy. Now you're gonna see stuff flying around the sides. Most of that stuff is probably just little meteorites or what have you. Maybe some cosmic rays shooting through there that's picking it up. But the other stuff I'm getting ready to show you might give a little perspective, okay? But again, the Earth is over here. The satellite's over here. This is how we're looking at it from this view, okay? Now I'm going to stop it right there. What's that? That looks like a pretty healthy sunspot. Now, we can't call it a sunspot unless it's Earth facing because we can't see what's underneath those umbras, okay? So what you're seeing is this thing erupt a few times. And it's staying active. That's why we're seeing so much activity on the left side of the sun right now. And we're also seeing it on the right. And that the reason for that was, I'll show you, okay? But let's talk about this for a second. So as this sunspot rotates on through, okay, by the time it gets to probably about here, it's going to be Earth facing. Okay, because this satellite isn't directly 90 degrees from us. It's more of a, not 90 degrees, 45 degrees, like this. Okay, satellite's here, Earth's here. So it's not a direct 45. It's more of a, let's just do it this way. Actually, on this one it would be down here a little bit because we're south of the equator, and closer to that. So it's more like this. Okay. Anyway, we got to watch that thing because it's active, and once it starts rotating through and gets to that point I just showed you, it can start firing stuff off at us, and that's the concern. Because what it's doing right now, it's not stopping. It's continually ejecting material. Okay, not big, huge CMEs, and they're not coming nowhere close to us either. So it's really not a big deal right now. It is showing the sun's more active, but it's also giving us something to look at so we can, say, hey, my gosh, here in the next week, this thing's going to be right in front of us if it holds together. And if it's still acting like it is now, we most definitely will see some solar weather from this thing. Okay? So, I'm going to push play here again, and we'll finish watching this time lapse a couple times. You see how it's rotating through. Now, there's a couple interesting things that I've seen on this thing I want to show you guys as it gets there. See if I can stop it on time. It's always hard to do. I should have just put this in a movie format and was able to slow it down with my software. But there it went. Okay. Now, I stopped it there on purpose. And the reason being, okay, is this. Alright, now it looks like it's going towards the sun. Now, that's a possibility, because it looks like it's disrupting the corona right there. You see that? But this is so highly pixelated, it's hard to be, confirmation on that's hard to happen. So, but I will say is if this isn't hitting the sun, it's not gonna do anything anyway. So it's interesting. But it looks like it's disturbing the corona there. It's definitely not flying out of the sun. That's what I'm saying. You can see that direction and how this camera is picking up that distortion and giving us this visual. Alright, now something else here, as we go through, you're going to see something pop on the screen here and travel towards the sun. Okay, see if I can't find it. It's not too far from here. Okay, let's there, nope, that wasn't it. About right. See how it's ejecting right there? Okay, you see that right there? See how it's reaching out? Now I find it interesting because watch this right there. Okay, it did its little ejection thing. Now I'm going to back this up and show you what I was talking about with that object that kind of moved towards the sun. If I can get there, it went. Okay, there it is. All right. Now watch. I'm going to go one frame at a time. Okay, same object, whatever that is. It's moving fast too. Next frame gone. Now, keep in mind, a frame on this thing is about 2 hours. So every 2 hours we get a capture. But that most definitely looked like it was headed for the sun. It came onto the screen here, went to there, and went to there. Now keep in mind also we had that ejection right there. So could that have been agitating the sun? I don't know. I can't say it was, I can't say it wasn't. But you're seeing this, there's nothing really going on right there, right? I'm going to take this thing all the way back and I'm going to show you something. You see this right here? That's a sunspot too. And that's Earth facing right there right now. But that thing is already rotated past Earth facing and it's off the other side of the sun. Guess what's happening on the other side of the sun? The same thing that was we were seeing over here with this other sunspot. Okay? Constant, eruptions, small ones be it that, but constant. Okay? Now, I had a question from a subscriber, and I want to try to explain it to you guys the best way I can. So, give me a second. Okay, guys. Actually, look. That sunspot's already visible, or that active area. Now, as it rotates on through, we better be watching this thing for the next week or so, is what I'm saying. Hard to tell what it'll do. We can't ever predict exactly what it's going to do because we just don't know. But the chances of something happening around it are greater than on other parts of the sun. So, but what I wanted to share with you guys is I got a question that, we see on like LASCO, and I tell you what, let me take you, I'll just show you LASCO. So this is LASCO. Now the question was, we always see these jets of whatever outside of the sun, right? Now, looking at that, our brains are wired to try to look at things symmetrically. So it's natural for us to assume that that should be like that, right? Or like this. But when we see it go crooked, it causes us to be like, man, that doesn't look right. Like say it was this way or this way, right? Well, right now it's kind of doing one of those numbers. But what's happening, the question was, why is that changing? Is the sun changing in position? What's going on? Is it tilting? And that was part of the question that was being asked of me. And that's not what's happening, okay? If you follow that line of logic, what you're gonna come to understand that even if it's right here blowing off straight off the sides, if the way you're thinking is that way, that means also it should be blowing off right here. It should go all the way across the face of the sun. So that means we would be experiencing elevated solar wind speeds all the time. And that ain't what we see. Okay? Why do we see it look like it's actually skewed that way or even skewed this way sometimes? Well, the reason why is what I just showed you guys. The sunspots. Those are active areas. Okay? And they are in different positions. Right now, that's where those were, right? So it makes sense that what we're seeing on seeds, the ejection, it makes sense from this sunspot you're going to see stuff going that way, and from this one, it's going that way. And yes, in your mind, it looks like it should be a straight line, but it's not. Okay? So hopefully I helped to explain that. The sun's not doing that number, okay? Not right now. Plus, also, sometimes we'll see it blow this way, like this jet right there would be at that angle here. And then if you look on the other side, sometimes we see it doing this at the same time. So that kind of blows that horizontal thing out the water. All right. Now, also, this is the equator of the sun. The Earth sits just to the south. So our view is already skewed. So if we're looking at it from the side, what we would see, here's the Earth, right? Here's the equator of the sun. If we stretch that out, what's happening is we're looking up. So our view is already skewed. So we can't really say it's right in the middle on the equator of the sun with these things blowing off like that. What I'm saying is, it's not a constant thing. It's the reason why we see activity like this is it's around the sunspots. That's what's causing that. And those sunspots move up and down in all kinds of crazy ways. It don't have to be sunspot either. It could be like a coronal prominence or even like CMEs and solar flares that are happen wherever it wants to, right? So I just wanted to answer that question because that's a very legitimate question. You know, it's nice to know the answer to those things. So what I'll do here is this will show you pretty good too. This is what they're talking about, I think. Okay, this is stereo A. You see the jets, and by that way of thinking, I was just explaining. Even this one is showing you that this one's kind of going off to the straight side, and then on the at the same time, on the other side, it's tilted. That right there just kind of disproves that way of thinking. So just know that that's what's happening. At least in my opinion, that's the way I understand it. But anyway, guys, go over and check out Scott's new channel. It's spelled the same way, but it's using capitals just for the beginning letters of each name. I'll leave a link. So yeah, he'll be doing a live stream, I'm sure, either late tonight or tomorrow. And I had to pull that video down, guys, because the audio was horrible, and I jacked it all up. So that's the only reason why I did. So don't freak out or nothing about that. But anyway, guys, God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.